Good morning, everybody. I didn't get the memo it was Floral Thursday, but by some miracle I thought I better wear flowers today, so that was lucky. So thank you all for joining us today. I hope over the next 30 minutes I'm going to be able to share some hints and tips with you, but if you have any questions after today's session, I am around a little bit, so I'm more than happy to take maybe questions if you don't want to ask in front of everybody else. So what I'm hoping to canter through over the next 30 minutes is a number of things. First of all, like just what's gone on in the landscape that we are all aware of, but how that's changed things. Understand the whole joined up approach in terms of online and offline marketing. Online marketing has become very trendy and people have jumped on it, but I'm going to ask you some questions just to think back actually as a consumer. How do you react now as a consumer in terms of purchasing online and offline? The importance of future-proofing your business. Obviously, we can't predict things like COVID happening again, God forbid, touch wood, but how can we future-proof our business to our audience today, but also our audience tomorrow as well? But the key tip I want to take you away today is taking off your brand hat or your consumer hat and putting your consumer shoes on. It's the biggest tip I share with many organizations, however big or small they are, and it's the thing that people walk away with and go, wow, I just need to think like my customer, which isn't always easy, but there's some big opportunities there instead of trying to sell all the time. Also thinking about your website being built for online and offline as well, and finally, content marketing. But just to introduce myself a little bit, we are international digital marketeers. We work with national and international organizations around the globe in helping them to sell more online and offline. Now, you may be thinking, Lynsey, these brands are huge, but we do work with some of the smallest brands in the world as well. And actually, the biggest problem that these big brands have is actually they're so large, they're like trying to move a tanker. And they're really worried about actually smaller brands because as smaller brands and as smaller manufacturers, you can be quite agile and tactic from that perspective. So first of all, I'd just like you to think back to a time, it could be quite recently, it might have been in the last 2 years, of when was the last time an organization, as you as a consumer, really wowed you from that beginning to end experience. So I just want you to think about that. Doesn't happen very often, I know, these days, because it's just about, you want your product, let's try and get it to you. But think back to the last time an organization really wowed you. It could have been a customer service experience. It could have been an online, offline shopping experience. It could have just been helping you and not selling you anything at all. But just think about that for a minute. The gardening sector has grown huge. You guys probably all work in the garden sector, so will be well aware of it. I don't need to teach you guys to suck eggs. But here are the stats to back it up. Now, more people than ever have now got into the fantastic world of gardening, whether you've got the tiniest plot on your balcony or more of a large garden like me that I have no idea what I'm doing with. But it has grown substantially. The other huge thing that has happened in the market is different people have got into gardening. Now, there are the stalwarts out there that will be visiting the garden centres. I'm, for one, I'm a big garden centre fan. I love a garden centre, always walk out with 10 things and I only needed one. But there is a lot of a different audience there, which I want to come back to over the next few minutes as well. But online has become a key player for us, whether we were purchasing online before or not. Now, disclaimer here, I work in digital marketing, but I bloomin' hate buying online. And I hate buying online because too many organizations haven't gone about online marketing or purchasing per se from a consumer-centric point of view. They've thought, well, Lynsey, you can find that product hidden away, tucked at the back. Or you can find out when our open hours are. Or you want to do click and collect? Well, we do it, but we don't put it on our website. You have to tell people online and really come about things from a consumer-centric point of view. But whether people are purchasing online or whether they're using online to find out information, online has become a huge place for us to find out information and make decisions on things. Now, I've just pulled out some really basic stats here on tomatoes, because we all know that tomatoes are generally the easiest thing to grow, and if people haven't grown things before, tomatoes is probably the thing they want to have a go at. Now, these stats are over since 2017 to 2021. And the blue line is tomato seeds. People are probably a little bit more nervous about growing tomatoes from seeds. But look what happened when COVID happened. Obviously, you've got seasonality here of when you can grow them, but we've had peaks, and those peaks are a lot bigger than what they were before COVID. Then move into tomato plants, obviously buying the little plants and growing them, theoretically a little bit easier if you're starting gardening. Look at these huge peaks. And even now, guess how many people are searching for tomato plants in the UK every month? 40,000 people. 40,000 people in the UK every month at the moment, on average, are searching for tomato plants. So that gives you, as a garden centre or someone selling in that space, a huge opportunity. But you might be thinking, hang on a minute, Lynsey, this is about online and offline, and it is. And over 2,400 people a month are searching for tomato plants for sale near me. So it isn't just about how can people purchase online, it's also about doing that joined up approach as well. But the market shows no sign of stopping, and this isn't just in the UK, this is across Europe as well. And the bonus is actually you can potentially ship overseas if you wish. But UK, although we might be stalling a bit, we have a recession coming up, we are looking to grow over the next few years as well in that garden market, which is fantastic. But I now want you to put your consumer hat back on now. As a consumer, we have various different triggers in life. And what I mean by that is we don't suddenly think, I want to buy a tomato plant or I want to start gardening. There's generally a trigger that happens. Now that trigger might be a high intent trigger. And what I mean by high intent trigger is a high intent commercial trigger. I.e., I go into my garden, my greenhouse this morning, and there's green flies over everything. And I go, oh my goodness, I need to sort that out online on my way out of my greenhouse, how to get rid of green fly. That's a high intent trigger. So I might be thinking, how do I solve that problem? Where can I get a product to solve that problem? Might be organic, very quickly online. But then we might have a trigger that is non-commercial. And this is the biggest opportunity, one of the two biggest opportunities I see for garden centres and people wanting to take more of this space. Many organisations focused on the selling element because obviously we spend a huge amount online. Raise your hand if you've purchased something online in the last week. Could be your food shopping, could be, a car, could be anything. Quite a few of you. We can't resist, and even though I hate buying online, I have had to revert to buying online. But there's a huge amount of you that haven't purchased online, but you've probably carried out some sort of research online. And this is where this piece of research by Google has come from. There is this trigger, like I said, could be green fly, could be how to get into gardening. And from that, we go into then exploration mode and evaluation mode. And this exploration mode here is a massive opportunity because many websites, if you have set up a website to drive people into store or to sell online, has just focused on the selling element. You want to buy a tomato plant? You can buy it right here. But how many people are looking to get into gardening and not just veg plots and things? It could be flowers, could be other type of things, wildlife and things. How many people are often typing in questions online? A huge amount of us. I could reel all sorts of questions I go online for. So this is where, in terms of content, we have an opportunity. And as consumers, there is no right option for that. We can have this trigger, how to get rid of green fly, and I might be going for exploration, looking for organic products, or I might be thinking, I just need a quick win, I need to get rid of this green fly, and might move to evaluation of a couple of products quite quickly and purchase them. And I might purchase them in store, I might purchase them online. But if I just type in how to into Google, these are the types of questions people are typing in. And this is on the basis of the people that use search engines, and I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But how to grow vegetables at home, how to grow verbena, how to grow vegetable plots, how to grow verbena from seed. I've just typed in V, so it would come up. These are the most popular searches. And what is this for you as a garden centre or as an organisation? This is content opportunities. Many organisations who I work with will go, Lynsey, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to talk about, if we're doing a talk for someone in our garden centre, or I don't know what to talk about if we're creating blog content or video content or email content. It's right here at your fingertips if you understand how to look and where to look, which is what I'm sharing with you today. But as consumers, we do choose to buy online for quite a few reasons. One is convenience. We can order from the Amazons or the eBays and get them delivered next day. We can also go and do click and collect. So I can do click and collect from my Aldi store, or I can do click and collect from garden centres that offer it. But I can also search online very quickly and think, actually, I want to get that green fly spray this afternoon on my way home. Let's have a quick look. Green fly spray, local garden centres close to me in Norwich on the way home. And if that garden centre has shown it, then I should be able to see it and order it online. So we use it for a number of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons why I hate purchasing online is some of this information here. So useful online features and informed decision makers. The biggest challenge that garden centres or any manufacturer or any brand has online is listing products. They'll often, and I've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, they'll take a picture of a product and they'll list it online and just say tomato plant. They won't fill out all of this information. But the biggest opportunity you have as an organization is to take some of your best-selling products, or the things that are in most demand, and really update them and really think, how can I take that product in a physical world into a virtual world, and really help answer some of the questions as a consumer. Because the world we're in now is hugely fragmented. And it isn't an online, it isn't a linear journey. We don't go from online research to purchasing. I might do a search on my mobile phone after this talk today, and I then might go into a store on the way home. I might see something here today. I'm trying to improve my garden. I've been seeing lots of information here, so I might take a picture and then Google it when I get home. It's a very fragmented journey. So as garden centres and as brands, it can be really hard to understand where we should invest our money, what type of budgets we should be looking at, and how we can get that more joined up approach from online and offline. Because when we put our consumer hat on, it is very fragmented. We don't go, I'm going to go from here to here to here. Jumps about a lot, doesn't it? So, as an organisation, what we need to do is find that sweet spot in the middle. And what I mean by that is, as an organisation, you will have a revenue goal for this year or a profit goal for this year, and it might be to increase our revenue by, 10%, or it might be to hit a goal of £1 million worth of sales, not just online, but as a whole, as an organisation. But as a consumer, if I put my shoes on as a consumer, if I'm looking online, I think, I don't care what your goal is for the year. I'm trying to find what I want online. So organisations are often trying to drive that sale online and in store because they're focused on the goal of, I want to hit £1 million in sales, or I want to increase my sales by 10%. So they're always focusing on the sale, but they often forget about the consumer and think, how can I inadvertently get that sale through actually being consumer-centric? So we have to try and find that sweet spot in the middle, which is really hard to find. If you want some examples, they're not garden centre examples, I'm going to share some garden centre examples in a minute, but if you want some wider examples, I literally recorded a podcast on our website yesterday about 3 brands that are really smashing consumer centricity. It's one is an outdoor clothing brand, Trek It. One is Muju, is a juice brand, and one is Smol. They're all disruptors in their space. They're not big brands, but they've really got that competitive edge in big industry spaces and really carved their niche through consumer centricity. So feel free to have a listen. So my biggest tip today is take off your brand hat, take off the hat of your organization and think, as a consumer, what am I going to be doing? Or as a consumer, what are their challenges right now? Or as a consumer, what might I be searching for? And guess what? You don't have to guess. There is lots of insight at your fingertips. So as a garden centre, if I was doing marketing for a garden centre, the biggest thing I would go and do is just go and ask if I could stand next to a few of my... Don't want to disrupt her. Is actually, I would go and ask some of the sales advisors, do you mind if I just stand next to you for a couple of hours and just follow you around and listen? Because guess what? People are going to go into the garden centre, they're going to go, just got a new garden, I don't know what to kit it out in, can you help me? Bing, opportunity for content. Someone might be coming in and might go, I've got a really sunny, dry spot of garden, the soil's really dry, what should I do? Bang, opportunity for content. So we have a huge opportunity to listen offline and online as well. But the second big takeaway today is future-proofing your business. Now, you might think, Lynsey, we're rocking it. We've done a huge amount of sales last year. We've got our loyal customers that come in. Great. But what about the customers of tomorrow? What about the other generations, those younger generations that live and breathe on social media and never venture on to search engines or venture in to garden centres? Where do they hang out? Social media. And they use social media very different from how some of you might use it. I do not use social media like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok as a search engine, but many of those younger generation do. So if you want to tap into that younger generation, you don't just need to be on social media, but you need to be talking about the things and helping them and not selling all of the time, but creating content that engages them, inspires them, and educates them, because that's the second biggest opportunity where we have. And obviously you can drive them into store, but we want to inspire them and actually get in front of them first. So just moving back to that consumer journey, it isn't linear, but this is how you can. This is about as linear as you're going to get it. So we have window shopper over here. So this is the person with the least intent. And this is the biggest opportunity, because this is where most people hang out day to day. So this is where you can invest in search engine optimization, paid advertising. You can do stuff in store. Do the traditional stuff as well. And then you have how you can get people into first purchase, and we'll move on to that in a moment. Then you have the repeat customer, or the person that's purchasing. And this is where most organizations focus on. They focus on, if people are searching for a tomato plant online, I want to be in that space. Well, yes, there are people in that space, but it's very competitive, and you are competing against really big brands. But the big brands often don't compete in this space here. So they don't compete in that space of actually no intent or very little intent, but your target audience. So there's 3 steps you can adapt to help drive audiences online and in store, and that is attract the right audience on the right channels, and engage with them. And engaging doesn't always mean about selling, it's actually being useful for them. And finally, converting. And convert doesn't always mean sale, it doesn't mean purchasing that tomato plant. It might be, for example, I might do a Google search on the way out of my greenhouse and say how to get rid of green fly, land on your blog or land on a YouTube video, I watch it and go, this is really helpful. I'm actually going to follow that brand. That is a convert as well. And that is getting people into this type of ecosystem. So it's critical to not always have a sales mindset. It's about having a value mindset. Because when organizations have a value mindset, then actually that's where you can win in a space and not have to compete so much against some of the bigger brands in this world. So I just now want to move on just to some examples and some quick hints and tips of garden centers and other people in this sector that I think are doing really well and why. But what is absolutely critical, first of all, is your website. So your website needs to be, it's your place of bringing things together. So this is Crocus. They are generally an online retailer, but they do have a store. But they have the search functionality at the top. They have keyword navigation at the top. They also have a banner saying like when to expect delivery, the fact if you can do click and collect. They've got sign up for email newsletter. They've got lots of content on there. And their search facility is amazing. Second of all, they also have their social media buttons. Don't hide those. Put them in prominent places throughout your website. Because even if people aren't purchasing today, they might go, that's interesting. I want to follow them on social media. Or that's interesting. Actually, I want to sign up to their email newsletter. So it's about getting people into your ecosystem. When it comes to sales, though, and this is the bit why I don't buy online very often. It's very rare that I buy online. If I do buy online, it's from a brand or a website that I think, I know I'm going to get all the answers. This is Crocus again before we move on to some other examples. But if you do want to sell online and you have products, you need to make sure your product description pages, or PDPs for short, have the brilliant basics in place. So what I mean by that is the keywords. So not just the word that you might call something, the word that generally people are searching on. A good product description with details and like thinking about what type of plant it is, where you might want to plant it, if people are looking for plants with shade, etc., how to care for that plant, images and reviews. And here is a great example of that. So you can see they've got keywords here, the Latin name and the, I don't know what you call it, regular name. They've got images of the product in a couple of areas. They've got reviews. You can add it to basket, but it says unavailable because they haven't got any in stock. But guess what? Email me when it is. They've got an amazing description, and this is the thing I love about Crocus. The thing that we struggle with online is how big is it? How can we work out how big it is? And they always have pictures of actually the size of things. And they also have reviews. a plant doctor as well, where it talks about how to look after plants in that space, and also some hints and tips as well. So as a consumer, I've got all the answers at my fingertips, so I'm not left with any questions. And also because they do have a lot of good keywords in here, I might actually find this product, and I'm not a plant expert, I do have hellebores in my garden, which is why I use this as an example, but I think hellebores grow well in the shade. So I'd done a search for actually plants that grow well in the shade, and I'd ended up on hellebores, because they've got plants grow well in the shade, hellebores they'd ended up on. But your website can also provide that useful resource, because whether it's someone that's buying something in the middle of the night, or whether it is a younger generation, people don't always want to pick up the telephone or go into store. So make sure your website is that useful resource. Have the live chat functionality. You can give it 14-day trial for free. You would be surprised if you've got visitors on your website, how many people will use that live chat facility, which means you can go in the corner and it pops up and you don't need to sit there all day. It'll pop up and say, how can I help you? And you can use it on your phone. If people want to book an appointment, and this is where Trek It and some of the other outdoor clothing retailers have worked really well in this space. And finally, email and social media, as I've shared already. But you might be thinking, Lynsey, I don't have massive budgets for search engine optimization or massive budgets to be doing my listing. What you can do is optimize Google My Business. It is free to do it. But by doing it, as you can see here, I've just done a search for Garden Centre Norwich. I scroll down. If you fill out your Google My Business listing properly and say, like, you can do in-store shopping, you can do click and collect, the information there, this is keyword gold, and it doesn't cost you anything to do this. So as an example, if I was searching for tomato plants for sale in Norwich, Not Cuts could have added that in there. And you can change it all the time, so you can change it seasonally. And guess what? It's then not about your website being optimized, it's about your Google listing, which is really powerful. What you also have are other features. These ones are paid, so you do have Google Ads. So if you're not at the top of Google My Business, you can pay for an ad there. In terms of just ad generally, you can do the maps and you can do Google Shopping as well. This is where it starts to get very competitive. So if you are a regional garden centre, then do think about the advantage of your location. And lastly, but no means least in terms of the sales aspect, social commerce, as I said. So this is a very small brand that is in Norfolk, where I live, Pretty Cactus Plants. She started online and she's grown hugely. And this is where what we call digital native brands have really had success, because they don't have budgets. They've started probably from their bedroom and they thought, actually, how can I get online? I can get online through social media. And obviously with social media quickly cottoned on to the fact that actually they should allow a shop. So you can actually take a picture of a product, put keywords in there so people can find it, and then when you do want to sell, obviously don't do posts like this all the time, mix it up with useful content, but you can drive that sale online. So for that younger generation that are looking for indoor plants, which is very trendy, and some vegetables and things like that, this is the opportunity to not miss out on. But now moving back on to content, because as I shared earlier, it's not just about the sale, it's about the content side of things as well that can help drive people into store or online. There's some huge opportunities. Here are some examples. First of all is blog content. If you are a garden centre or a retailer or a brand, please raise your hand if any of you do blogs at the moment. Quite a few of you, that's good. Whenever I mention blogs to people, if they haven't done it before, they're like, what are we going to write about? We can write about this award we've won. And I'm like, that's great, that's not blog. That's blowing your own trumpet. That's in the news section, please. Blog is that information when we're Googling things, how to grow plants, how to grow vegetables, how to start a compost heap. Bing is an opportunity for you to create content, a blog post, potentially video content, put it on your website. Guess what? You've then got content for your social media channels, you've got content for your email marketing, you've got content even if people come in store and say, I don't know how to grow a compost heap, what should I do? Have a look on our website. We did a blog post on it last week. So blog content can be really hugely powerful, and it doesn't take a lot of work to do it. I would say if you do one blog post a month, a really good one, focused on what people want and need and those demands, is an ideal place to start. But make sure you optimize it. As you can see here, I've decided to pick hostas now. I'm not a plant expert, but I understand a few names. So growing hostas in pots. Lots of people were searching on it. So this company here has done a blog post, and they've done a YouTube video as well. Now, when we start to get into videos and photography, people are often very nervous and go, oh, no, I don't want to be on camera, or what do I say? Be yourself and just show content as it is. This is Ellen Mary. She's actually a very good friend of mine, and she judged the awards at Glee last year. But she does lots of stuff on social, and it's just about helping people. So actually, how to propagate basil. She's done a little video, how to do it. Doesn't need any audio. You can just show people. And using keywords and inspiration. Obviously, she's not selling anything here. She is just literally trying to grow her audience, but be helpful at the same time. Emails. Please raise your hand if you send emails to any of your consumers. Amazing. Emails have a huge opportunity for return on investment and growing that ecosystem. Good emails can drive a 4,000% increase in return on investment if you get it right. Now, there isn't just email sales in isolation. It's not just the abandoned bucket. It can also be these types of emails. Create a bee-friendly garden. Bees are very fashionable for the right reasons at the moment, but it isn't about selling. It's about education at the top, and then that opportunity to sell if you wish. But you don't have to do lots of emails. It's thinking about asking your audience the right things and not just focusing on that sale, focusing on inspiration as well. Now, this is one last example I want to share with you. This is a garden centre, Rosebank Garden Centre. They are based in Wales or somewhere, I think. I don't know them personally, but these guys have really rocked with their online content. And I think they started it during COVID. During COVID, obviously, they couldn't have people in store, so they started to do live streams. And it is a bit rough and ready, but I don't care, and people don't care. People are really interested in the content that these guys are sharing. And this video here is about hanging basket demo. So he did this hanging basket demo. You know, it's literally just on an iPhone. They'll announce they're doing it on email and on social media. Don't forget, we've got our hanging basket demo next week. It's in store on this day, or if you can't get in store and want to watch it online, it's on this day. And it might be that you do it at the same time, or you do two different things. They've had 83,000 views of his hanging basket demo. As a little garden centre tucked away in Wales, how amazing is that? And they have adapted that you can buy online, but you can buy in store as well. It's only a dream for many of us to have that sort of amount of views on things. And it is evergreen content, so it's there for life. So just think about actually what great content can we share with people online and offline to drive people into store, to drive inspiration, to drive education, and get them to purchase. So the real goal isn't about sales. It's about adding value and thinking about staying front of mind, being totally consumer-centric, and ultimately then being found in-store online if people are looking for you. So what are the 3 areas it takes to win? First of all, it is being totally consumer-centric. So understanding your consumer-centric elements. So it might be you've got your stalwarts, your people that don't search online and come in on a regular basis. It might be the new gardeners. I don't know what you guys sell. It'll probably all be sorts of different things. But understand your audience and start to segment them out. Then prioritize that investment. And that doesn't have to mean money. It can mean time. Time is money in a way, but it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be spending money on Google ads or spending money on Facebook ads. It's about investment in time. So it could be that you speak to your garden centre expert that is amazing on vegetables and getting them to do some videos or just sharing a bit of content. And finally, then implementing to win. So we've cantered through a huge amount today, but if anybody would like a copy of my slides, you are very welcome to have them. Just drop me an email at marketing@socialbee.co.uk. We have some great free resources here. If you'd like a free download of how to analyze your customer journey, you can. And if you are thinking, Lynsey, it's all been great today, but we're not really clued up on social media and we want to get into that audience, then we do have 10% off for Glee attendees to sign up to our social media course in September. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take questions now, or I'm happy to take questions afterwards. Liz, I don't mind what you'd like me to do. Yeah, sure. Any questions? No? Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I've given you some hints and tips. If you're rocking it already, amazing, but stay agile. It's a very agile space and we need to stay agile. So thank you very much for listening to me today.